When we speak about family, we are not just describing a group of people living under one roof. We are describing the roots of our being. Just as a tree cannot grow strong without deep roots, a human being cannot thrive without the grounding presence of family. The presence of parents, siblings, and close relationships is not an accident. It is part of the natural order that shapes our character, our values, and the way we see the world. Many people only begin to realize the importance of family when they are far away from it or when it is no longer there. But wisdom lies in recognizing this truth while we still have the chance to honor it. Your parents are your first teachers. They provide the foundation on which your life is built. Your siblings are the mirrors that reflect both your flaws and your strengths. And your relationships are the test of whether you can bring patience, compassion, and understanding into practice. In the Shaolin Temple, we are taught that discipline, respect, and harmony begin not with strangers but with the people closest to us. If you cannot show gratitude to your parents, patience with your siblings, or kindness in your relationships, then how will you embody these values in the world? Family is not always perfect. There will be conflict, misunderstandings, and pain. But these very challenges are the training ground for emotional resilience, empathy, and wisdom. So I invite you to reflect. Do you honor your parents while they are still alive? Do you practice forgiveness and support with your siblings? Do you bring patience and understanding into your relationships? Because in the end, success, wealth, and achievements lose meaning if you cannot share them with the ones who have been the roots of your life. When you come into this world, you are fragile, dependent, and without understanding. It is in this vulnerable state that your parents become your first source of guidance, the very architects of your early life. They are not only the ones who provide food, shelter, and protection, but they are also the ones who unconsciously shape the way you perceive reality. A child does not learn by lectures or theories. A child learns by observing the tone of the mother's voice, the rhythm of the father's footsteps, the way they respond to joy and to struggle. These become the first lessons absorbed long before words have meaning. In this way, parents are not just caretakers, they are the first teachers of life, transmitting lessons not through formal instruction but through presence, habits, and daily example. What we later call discipline or values are often simply echoes of what we absorbed in those earliest years of being. If you reflect deeply, you will see that your very sense of security in the world is built upon the foundation given by your parents. If they offered stability, you walk into life with confidence. If they showed kindness, you more easily extend compassion to others. If they demonstrated resilience in times of difficulty, you carry the quiet strength to endure. Even their shortcomings, their mistakes, their moments of weakness teach you something profound about humanity and imperfection. Parents are not flawless beings, but through their imperfections they gift us one of the greatest lessons: how to continue moving forward despite limitations. This understanding forms the soil in which your personality grows. You may think you are shaping yourself independently as you grow older, but if you look closely, much of your inner structure has its roots in the teachings, spoken and unspoken, of your parents. In many traditions, parents are honored as the first masters of discipline and respect. Before you step into society, before you engage with teachers, colleagues, or strangers, you learn the meaning of responsibility within the family. Your parents correct you when you stray, encourage you when you doubt, and remind you of limits when your impulses run wild. They are the ones who introduce you to the concept of boundaries, of cause and effect, of reward and consequence. Consider how a small child learns patience not by reading a book but by waiting for a meal prepared with love. Consider how a child learns gratitude not through theory but by receiving care day after day and slowly realizing the sacrifices behind it. Parents are like silent gardeners, patiently watering the seeds of virtue in their children, often without recognition or praise. These lessons, planted quietly in early years, later reveal themselves in the way you treat others, in how you respond to success, and in how you endure failure. But beyond discipline and values, parents give you something even more profound: the first experience of unconditional love. Before the world measures your worth by achievement, before society judges your performance, there are two individuals who love you simply because you exist. This is your first introduction to compassion, not as an abstract idea but as a lived reality. The warmth of being held, the reassurance of being guided, the security of knowing you belong, these are gifts no material wealth can replace. This early experience becomes the inner reservoir you return to whenever life becomes harsh or lonely. And if for some reason this reservoir was lacking, then it becomes a lifelong search, a reminder of what the heart truly craves. Either way, parents serve as the initial bridge between you and the mystery of life. They reveal to you that to be human is to give and to receive care, to shape and to be shaped, to love and to be loved. When you look at your siblings, whether older or younger, you are not simply looking at another person, you are looking at a reflection of yourself. Siblings are like mirrors placed in your life by destiny, to reveal aspects of your character that would remain hidden if you lived alone. A brother may provoke your anger, showing you the limits of your patience. A sister may support you in silence, teaching you the meaning of loyalty and quiet strength. Even small quarrels, often seen as meaningless, are in truth opportunities to see yourself more clearly. Do you react with pride? Do you forgive easily? Do you hold on to resentment? These daily interactions form the training ground for the emotional and spiritual growth that no book can provide. Just as a mirror reflects not only beauty but also blemishes, siblings reveal not only your virtues but also your flaws, challenging you to grow beyond them. From childhood, siblings shape your understanding of competition and cooperation. When you compete with a brother or sister, you learn ambition, resilience, and the taste of both victory and defeat. When you share toys, meals, or secrets, you learn generosity, trust, and the joy of companionship. This constant balance between rivalry and unity forms the first real test of harmony. For many, the sibling bond is the longest relationship of their lives, lasting even beyond parents and extending into old age. Within this span of time, you witness each other's transformations, struggles, and triumphs, and in doing so you learn about the impermanence of life itself. A sibling who once annoyed you as a child may become your greatest source of wisdom in adulthood. A sibling who challenged you in youth may become the one who stands by you when others leave. In this way, siblings are like shifting mirrors. They show you who you were, who you are, and who you might become. The presence of siblings also teaches you about conflict and reconciliation. Unlike friendships, which can be ended by choice, the bond of siblings remains tied by blood and memory. You may argue, hurt each other, or drift apart, but something invisible always calls you back. This bond forces you to learn forgiveness, often more than once. It teaches you that love is not the absence of disagreement, but the willingness to remain connected despite it. Siblings test your capacity for humility. Are you willing to apologize when you are wrong? Are you willing to forgive even when the pain lingers? In this process, you discover that true strength lies not in holding power over others, but in the ability to mend what has been broken. Through siblings, life trains you in the art of reconciling differences, a skill that later extends to friendships, marriages, and society itself. Without this training, many would remain trapped in pride, unable to build lasting relationships with anyone. And beyond rivalry, beyond conflict, there is the quiet beauty of companionship that siblings uniquely provide. Only your brother or sister knows what your childhood home felt like, what your parents' struggles looked like, what the small joys of growing up together meant. This shared memory becomes a silent language between you, something no outsider can fully understand. Even if life takes you to different cities or distant countries, this invisible thread remains. When you meet again, time collapses, and you return to the essence of that shared beginning. This continuity of presence is a reminder that family is not only about shared blood but about shared experience, about walking together through the stages of life, each step shaping who you are. In this way, siblings do not just mirror who you are today, they remind you of where you came from, and they silently point toward the person you are becoming. Every relationship you have in life is like a mirror of your inner state, but unlike the stillness of a mirror, relationships are alive, dynamic, and constantly shifting. They demand your patience, your attention, and your willingness to grow. You may think of relationships as a source of comfort or companionship, but at a deeper level, they are teachers. They are practice grounds for the values you wish to live by. It is easy to speak of compassion, but can you show it when someone close to you disappoints you? It is easy to admire patience in theory, but can you remain calm when a loved one misunderstands you? It is simple to value honesty, but can you remain truthful even when truth feels uncomfortable? Relationships provide the stage upon which these values are tested. Without them, virtues remain abstract concepts. Within them, virtues are either proven or revealed as weak. In relationships, your ego is continuously challenged. The presence of another person means the presence of difference, different thoughts, different emotions, different ways of seeing the world. This difference will often clash with your own preferences, and it is here where the real work begins. To love another person is to accept that you will not always be understood, that your wishes will not always be met, and that your flaws will be seen more clearly than you might like. Yet it is precisely in these moments that the seeds of growth are planted. Every disagreement gives you a chance to practice humility. Every moment of misunderstanding invites you to cultivate patience. Every test of loyalty is a call to strengthen your integrity. The ego resists, but the spirit learns. Over time you realize that relationships are less about finding perfection in another and more about refining imperfection within yourself. There is also a profound balance to be learned, the balance between giving and receiving. Many relationships fail because one side gives endlessly without receiving, or another expects endlessly without giving. But when you treat relationships as practice grounds, you begin to see that balance is an art. To give with love but without attachment, to receive with gratitude but without greed. This is the path to harmony. You practice generosity by giving not just material things but time, attention, and understanding. You practice humility by receiving without pride, by allowing yourself to lean on another without feeling diminished. When this flow between giving and receiving becomes natural, relationships transform into sacred spaces where both individuals grow together, supporting and strengthening one another's journeys. And perhaps most importantly, relationships teach you the impermanence of all things. No matter how close two people are, there will always be change. Change in circumstances, change in feelings, change in life itself. This impermanence is not a tragedy, but a teacher, reminding you to cherish the present moment. When you are with someone you love, you learn to be fully present, for you know that this moment will not last forever. When conflict arises, you learn to forgive quickly, for time does not wait. When joy visits, you learn to savor it deeply, for it will pass, and so will the pain that follows. Relationships remind you that growth is continuous, that practice is ongoing, and that love, in its truest form, is not possession but presence. In this way, every relationship becomes a training ground, where the values of patience, compassion, truth, balance, and presence are cultivated like precious seeds within the soil of the human heart. When we speak of family, it is tempting to imagine harmony, joy, and constant support, but the reality is often more complex. Within every family, there are disagreements, misunderstandings, and moments of deep hurt. These challenges are not signs that the family bond is broken, rather, they are part of its natural rhythm. Just as the seasons change and storms test the strength of trees, challenges within family life test the strength of human connection. A harsh word from a parent, a conflict with a sibling, or a distance created by differing opinions can feel painful, yet these experiences are not without purpose. They reveal where patience must be strengthened, where forgiveness must be practiced, and where the heart must expand beyond its usual boundaries. If we only ever experienced ease and agreement, we would never discover the resilience hidden within us. Family challenges are like the sharpening stone that gives edge to a blade, uncomfortable but essential for growth. From early childhood, these lessons begin in subtle ways. A sibling taking what you wanted teaches you the practice of sharing. A parent setting a boundary you dislike teaches you discipline and the acceptance of limits. Later in life, disagreements about responsibilities, choices, or values become opportunities to practice respect, even when perspectives differ. These moments are rarely pleasant, but they are powerful teachers. They remind you that love is not a feeling that appears only in moments of peace. It is a discipline that endures even in tension. In truth, family teaches you how to live with differences in a way that no other environment can. Within the home, you cannot simply walk away from every conflict. You are challenged to remain, to listen, to compromise, and to continue the bond despite imperfection. And it is here where the seeds of resilience, adaptability, and understanding are planted. Every conflict within family life is also an invitation to look inward. When you feel anger toward a parent, ask yourself, is this anger truly about them, or does it reveal something unhealed within me? When you clash with a sibling, consider, are they truly the source of my frustration, or are they mirroring a weakness I refuse to face? In this way, family challenges become a form of inner training. They bring to the surface the emotions we often hide: pride, jealousy, insecurity, fear, and they ask us to confront them honestly. It is easy to appear kind and balanced among strangers, but it is in the closeness of family where your true character is tested. If you can remain compassionate in the midst of family conflict, then you know your compassion is genuine. If you can forgive within your home, then forgiveness in the wider world becomes possible. Thus, family challenges are not obstacles to your spiritual growth. They are the very path of that growth. And beyond the individual lessons, challenges within family remind us of the larger truth, that relationships are not meant to be perfect, but to be lived. The storm in the home, just like the storm in nature, eventually passes. What remains is the memory of how you responded to it. Did you allow conflict to harden your heart, or did you use it as a chance to soften, to learn, to grow? These storms teach that connection is more valuable than pride, that understanding is more healing than judgment, and that unity is built not by avoiding conflict, but by moving through it with humility. Each challenge, whether great or small, becomes part of the shared story of the family, weaving resilience into its fabric. And in this way, what may feel like a burden in the moment later becomes the source of wisdom, strength, and an unshakable bond. Gratitude is often spoken of as a virtue, but within the family, it is not simply a polite word, it is a recognition of something sacred. To feel gratitude toward your parents is to recognize the immeasurable gift of life itself. No achievement, no possession, no honor in the world can equal the fact that they gave you existence. Whether their journey was easy or filled with difficulty, whether they succeeded in every way or fell short in some, the truth remains: without them, you would not be here. To honor parents is not to ignore their imperfections, but to see beyond them, to acknowledge the sacrifices, visible and invisible, that brought you to where you stand. Every sleepless night, every small act of care, every decision made for your benefit, these are not always spoken of, but they are etched into the foundation of your being. To live with gratitude is to carry this awareness, not only in words, but in the way you treat them while they are still alive. Siblings too deserve gratitude, and it is easy to remember the quarrels, the rivalries, the moments of jealousy, but beneath these lies the undeniable truth that siblings walk alongside you through the landscape of your life. They share the same beginnings, the same history, the same joys and struggles of growing up under one roof. This shared story is a treasure that no one outside the family can replicate. Gratitude towards siblings means recognizing that even in their differences, they have shaped you. They have been your first companions, your first rivals, your first mirrors. To honor them is not always about agreeing with them, but about valuing their place in your life's journey. Even distance, even separation, cannot erase the bond written in shared memory. When you choose to treat your siblings with respect and appreciation, you are choosing to strengthen not only the bond of family, but the deeper human capacity to value connection itself. Beyond parents and siblings, gratitude extends to all relationships within the family circle: grandparents, uncles, aunts, and even those considered extended family. Each person plays a role in shaping who you are, whether directly or indirectly. A wise word from a grandparent may remain in your heart for a lifetime. The guidance of an elder relative, the support of a cousin, the encouragement of a family friend, all of these are threads woven into the fabric of your character. To live with gratitude means to recognize these threads, to see that you are not an isolated being but part of a vast web of care, influence and memory. Honor in this sense is not about blind obedience, but about respect. It is the decision to acknowledge the presence of those who came before you and those who walk beside you. It is to carry yourself in a way that reflects the love and lessons you have received, consciously or unconsciously, from those who surround you. Gratitude and honor also transform the way you live your own life. When you recognize what you have received from your family, you naturally feel a responsibility to give forward. The respect you show to your parents becomes the example you set for your own children. The kindness you extend to siblings becomes the pattern you extend into friendships and society. In this way, gratitude is not stagnant, it flows. It becomes the energy that sustains harmony within the family and radiates outward into the wider world. To live without gratitude is to live disconnected from your roots, always seeking but never fulfilled. To live with gratitude is to live anchored, carrying within you a sense of completeness that no external achievement can provide. Honor is the action that arises from this gratitude: to speak with respect, to act with integrity, to carry the name of your family, not as a burden, but as a responsibility to embody the best of what they have given you. When we look at family, we must understand that it is not perfection that gives it value, but presence. Parents, siblings, and relationships are not without flaws, but they are the very soil from which our growth begins. Through their love we learn compassion, through their conflicts we learn resilience, through their presence we learn gratitude. Family is not only the place where life starts, it is the place where values are tested, practiced, and remembered. You cannot walk through the world with authenticity if you cannot embody kindness in your own home. You cannot speak of patience if you have not practiced it with those who know your weaknesses best. And you cannot talk about compassion if you have not offered it to those closest to your heart. So carry this awareness with you. Honor your parents while they are still alive, for one day silence will replace their voices. Support your siblings, for they are the companions of your earliest memories and the keepers of your shared story. Cherish your relationships, for they are the mirrors that shape your growth and remind you of who you are becoming. In the end, wealth will fade, success will pass, and achievements will be forgotten. But the love you offered, the gratitude you lived with, and the honor you carried for your family, these will remain echoing in the lives of those who come after you. This is the essence of family values: not just to belong to a family, but to embody the lessons it has given you, and to let those lessons guide your path with humility, gratitude, and wisdom.